everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are here for our September episode of On Friendship, where we are talking about a Hallmark or Hallmark-like movie for the themes of friendship, as well as obviously love and relationships in general. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Alysa Lucas is here.
Hello, everyone. Yay. We get to talk about more friendship.
Yes. And Lisa, you should be very excited. We did a survey amongst our listeners, and we asked, how can we improve? And one of the things they wanted more Lisa.
Hey!
More on friendship.
Dance, friendship.
That's right.
So cool. Thank you, people who took the survey. That's
I
awesome.
know.
We all need more friendship in our life.
And so I don't actually think we are going to, well, let's see. Having said that, I think this will be our final on friendship for this year, and then we're going to get into Christmas coverage, and Alysa will be joining us for at least one episode of that. So
I'll make sure there's some sort of friendship talk in there.
Yes.
Like, even if it's a romantic movie, Rachel and I or other folks can talk about, like, what would it be like if they were friends, or what would it be like if they had a friend in this movie? So we'll make it friendship. We'll friendship it up.
It will be so fun. And we got friendship from the cookie crawl, so
oh my goodness. I still want to do a cookie crawl.
And so today we're talking about a Lifetime movie.
That's my area.
Yeah, that's right. One of my favorites. We're talking about Christmas Pen Pals. And honestly, I think this may be the best new Christmas TV movie that I've reviewed on the podcast since we started.
Wow.
I think this movie is really good. I really like it.
I really enjoyed it, and I have no concept of any of my reviews from before. So I just know Cookie Crawl, and then the one with the guy, Jesse Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, the Country Wedding.
Yeah,
that was your second favorite. I mean, I still like, probably Trading Christmas Better is probably my all-time favorite. But
that one was fun.
I think this one is really strong, and I really like it. And I just think it's a strong movie, not even just TV movie.
Yeah.
And
I would have gone to see this in the theater. All you have to say is Pen Pals, and I'm like, take my money.
Yeah, and I actually got to interview the writer of this, Carly Smell, and she's awesome. And I said to her, you should make this an anthology series, because think about it. Every year they could have different people writing each other. It's so cute.
Oh my God.
They could have different pen pals.
Amazing.
Right?
Because the lady had the book of all the people who had met because of the pen pal situation. Oh, that's such a great idea.
Right? It could be so fun. You could have Christmas pen pals every year, a new volume.
I'm here for it. And so if there's anything I can do to make this happen, I mean, besides money.
I know we haven't gotten one since 2018. I mean, we really should get another one. Yeah. But I loved everything. I think partly maybe because I grew up as a letter writer. So the idea of, and I've always kind of wanted to have a true pen pal. I think that whole idea is so fun.
Yeah.
And so the idea of this whole town writing each other letters, I think, is such a charming idea.
Yeah, and Christmas. I was like, why did it take so long? Because I think the last one was in 1945. Is that what they said?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, why would it take that long to bring it back for nostalgia purposes in this town? I was like, but I'm glad I was here for it being brought back to the town. But I think pen pals are really cool. I think that it's a great way to connect with people. I'm just thinking about all the people who might be isolated now, especially during COVID-19, picking up a pen and a postcard, I think could brighten someone's day, and it wouldn't take very long, and it wouldn't take a lot of money. And I think that's the really cool part, is that you can reach people anywhere.
Yeah. You can reach people anywhere. And it has that extra effort of, I've actually taken the time to write a letter in this day and age is, I think, says something. And I think that really the kind of the setup for this movie, I just kind of like, I just kind of ignore it because I do not care about her dating app at all.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, I like the idea that it's like, this is what people do now in terms of relationships. Like, you know, and when she asked her dad how, you know, they met, it was like an ice cream shop. And I think like there is something about like people use apps, but the problem is there might be something missing, or that there's something as simple as a pen pal that can really make a change. And so I do like that it brings sort of like what's happening now and how people might be able to use things of the past to find relationships. So I mean, yeah, I don't need all the details on it. Like when she started at the beginning and it's like she's talking to like someone in the cloud that's like opening her shades and playing music, and her slippers are probably in the same spot every day, and it's like commence morning routine or something, and her coffee starts, and I was like, oh my god, you are too reliant on technology. I mean, it seems like some of that stuff might be fun. Like sometimes it might just be like, okay, it would be cool if I drank coffee to have it like ready to go, but I don't think you need to tell the cloud that. Don't machines have like a start coffee at this time? Like, I don't know if we need the whole house under lockdown and taken over by AI, right? Like, we don't need to be taken over by robots right now. Okay?
I think her Surrey is called Marvin, I believe. Marvin. I mean, all I care about is her getting back to the town and signing up for all that other stuff is just like, whatever. I don't care about that at all. But I love Sarah Drew so much. I think she is just the best.
And my experience with her is Grey's Anatomy. And so and I really like her on that show, and it's been a while. Like I rewatched all of Grey's Anatomy a couple semesters ago, and I think an academic semester, so I don't know how many years ago. It could have been a year and a half, could have been 3 years ago, and I really enjoyed her character, and I think she's perfect for the movies that would be on Hallmark, and this one was on Lifetime, which is my childhood. But also like Netflix has some now too, and you know, Hallmark is getting some competition there a little bit, but I think she fits the style of the person you want to star in these kind of movies. Like you're invested in her. She's really cute and spunky, but not like in an obnoxious way. Like she just is like someone you would want to be friends with. Right? And so I enjoy her. But I have to say that when I started watching, and one of the characters in the movie, I think was Sam, I was like, I know this guy. I've seen him before. And he was the guy in the dance movie that we watched a couple months ago. And so I was like, look at this. Rachel's got me knowing who people are, even though I like clearly can't name him. I think, is it Niall?
Yeah, Niall Mater.
Yeah. And I was like, I know him. So you're rubbing off on me.
Well, and this cast has a great cast as far as the Hallmarkies podcast, because you have Sarah Drew has been, actually I've been on our show. And now Mater.
That episode.
I know, it was awesome because she did this, which I loved, of course, and then she did Twinkle All the Way last year, which I loved. And I was interviewing the director, Brian Herzlinger, and she and Ryan McPartlin, who's also in Twinkle All the Way, joined in the interview.
And you're like, oh my God, keep it cool, Rachel. Keep it cool.
No, keep it cool. So she joined, and I was like, I have to tell you, Sarah, I absolutely love Christmas Pen Pals. It's so good.
In that night, you're like, Dear Diary, Sarah Drew.
Yeah, and the other people were like, should we just go now? Like, I'm sorry.
And you're like, yes, absolutely. Give us a moment to have our chit chat about the Pen Pal movie.
Yeah, and she is she's going to be in a movie called Christmas in Vienna this season, and I am so hyped for it.
Yeah,
because it was actually finished before COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
in January, and it's one of the few ones that they had finished
Wow. Yeah.
pre-COVID. And so I think it's going to be even more special,
Yeah.
as far as and all the whole thing filmed in Vienna pre-COVID,
Yeah.
kind of a
Well,
thing.
here's
It's
the
going to be really
thing.
cool.
I mean, this might be a bold statement, but she might be one of my favorite stars in any movie we've watched so far.
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah.
bold statement, or
No,
is
I think it is a bold statement, but I think it's true. I think I'd agree.
Yeah.
She's so
But
likable.
here's the thing, though. Like, across all the movies I've watched with you, I've probably seen, there probably been just a couple where there's multiple people across the movie, so I am not as familiar with all the people who might star. Of course, I know Candace Cameron Bure, and I know, oh gosh, she played Gretchen in Mean Girls.
Lacey.
Yes, Lacey. So, like, some of those folks I know from movies and childhood shows, like Party of Five and just other things. But I just really enjoy Sarah Drew. So
me too. And
when
I never
saw who was in it, I was like, good job, Rachel. Good
I
job.
never saw Grey's Anatomy beyond I tapped out once Denny died. I was like, I'm very upset. And then I never watched it again.
Here's the thing. I tapped out at the 3-part fairy episode, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. And then I rewatched it, I think, another time, and then I rewatched, like, it was up to season 14, and I rewatched all of that from summer into fall a couple of semesters ago. And I was like, okay, just push through the fairy episodes, even though you hate them, just push through. And I'm kind of glad I did. But
I mean, Denny died in like season 2, so I'm way
Oh yeah, no, the fairy episode is in like season 3 maybe, and I didn't like that storyline between Denny and Izzy anyway. I don't like
the worst.
I don't like Katherine Heigl. No offense to folks, like we all have our favorites, and she's not one of my faves, but then she leaves and it was fine.
So I never saw Sarah Drew on Grey's Anatomy. Evidently her character is not the most likable on that show.
Oh, I love her because I love by the other, like if she was my coworker, I'd be like, I don't know about you. But like as someone watching the show, I'm like, you're very enjoyable. Yeah. And I would want to work with her.
She's just the best here. I absolutely love her in this. And you just feel like her heart. Yeah. And the whole thing with her mother and her just grieving felt totally authentic to me and real. Yes. And I felt it. It was really good.
And can we give a shout out to Alan Alda as the dad in this one?
You mean Michael Gross?
Oh my God!
You can say it again if you want.
Oh my God. I just made that connection. You're absolutely right. But I still loved him, so I will say it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Did you see my face though?
Okay.
Did Alan Alda die?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
I think they do look quite a bit alike though. I'm with you.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I haven't seen Family Ties in forever. Okay. Michael Grossman from Family Ties, right?
I get them confused of who's in. Yeah, was he in Family Ties, and then it was what's his name in Growing Pains?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Growing Pains was Alan Thicke.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Right, and so Family Ties was.
How embarrassing could that have been? Okay.
I got your back.
I appreciate that. But I do want to give a shout out to her dad too, played by Michael Gross, who was in the family classic Family Ties, which I love because I loved Michael J. Fox as Alex P. Keaton. And I really thought like their relationship, I mean, the fact that they're grieving both the loss of his wife and her mother, and like she isn't really coming home or talking to him. And so there is sort of this rebuilding of their relationship as well that I really enjoyed. And it's been a long time since I've seen him anything, and it really brought back some nostalgia, if you will.
Well, and then the fact that he starts in the pen pal, and so it's so cute, like his little relationship, adorable. And you have this between Nile Mater's character Sam and Sarah Drew's character Hannah. Sam and Hannah have this past relationship, but she wanted to get away from the town, and so they had this they broke up, and now they're both in this Christmas Cupid, and it's so cute. I just loved it.
Can we talk about the Christmas Keep It for just a second?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I love that the town did it like all these years ago, and it like truly brought people together. And the woman who does the pen pal sort of exchange has all these like images of all the people who got married and wanting to bring it back. But one of the things that I love is that Sarah Drew's character wants her dad to find someone because she thinks her dad is lonely. But he's like, I'm only going to do it if you do it.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, love that, because he sees something in his daughter. She's just been dating people and she's not connecting because she's dating them like the people using her app, and it's not really working, right? And so I love that. But when they both go to fill it out, this is the part that I love the most, and I feel like it's absolutely crucial that I mention this, that when you fill it out, you put your name and you can check a box. Do you want to do pen pals for friendship, or do you want to do pen pals for love? And I was like, yes. I was like, thank you, because if it was only for love, that would be a little disappointing for my friendship loving heart. But I also love the idea that even for those who market for love, the idea is that you write each other without knowing who you physically or physically are, and you get to know each other in a slower pace through conversations and other things of that nature. So I really loved it. I think it'd be fun for friends. I think it'd be fun for love. And so I'm like, I want to do a pen pal exchange. Like, let's make this happen.
Well, and it's such an attractive idea, the idea of falling in love with somebody that through their words. That you don't know who they are. That's very, very attractive. And also the whole idea of the shop around the corner, the idea that the person that you kind of are in animosity with, that you don't like, is actually like their secret self is actually somebody that you like and that you're falling in love with. And so shop around the corner, you've got mail, she loves me. Any variation on that story, I just love. I think it's so good. And in this, with Hannah and Sam, it's just that they had kind of separated, but they didn't hate each other, but they just felt sort of that resentment. And the longer that she stayed away because of her grief, the more that he felt resentful of it. And I don't know, so they're just in this sort of, they're like bitter towards each other, but they still love each other. And you know, he's become this, like, he was going to be an artist or whatever, and he's become this coffee shop guy. And
how many movies have we watched where the coffee guy is like, no lattes?
Right. Like the Wish List, remember? Like, remember the Wish List?
He was like, okay, I'm going to create a drink I think you would like, which was a little different. But this guy was like, I don't need to go with that foo-foo whatnot.
That's right.
But one of the things, it did remind me, I love the idea of like the shop around the corner and you've got mail. And it reminded me actually of an episode of Psych. So if you're familiar with I know you are, but like those listening, Sean and Gus are best friends and they have a fake psychic, shop or whatever you want to call it, business, and they go on the set of like The Bachelor, right? And so they're doing something where there's been a death and they're investigating it, but there was an idea that it's the show that they're on, instead of being The Bachelor, is like people that might be in your life that you don't know. So you live in this neighborhood, it might be the person who serves you coffee, it might be the person that your gym. And I think that's like the same idea, right? When you focus on a town, you're focusing geographically, which allows you to sort of, you might know these people in advance. And that sort of happens to Sarah Drew, right? She knows Sam, but at first it's not clear. Sam isn't part of it, right? He says he didn't sign up. But then there's a new doctor in town who's told her dad not to drink coffee, and that's why there's no coffee machine in his house. And she's like devastated because there's no Wi-Fi and there's no coffee. And I'm like, if there's no caffeine or Wi-Fi, I'm out too. So that's at least a bare minimum for me in terms of comfort. But then she meets, was it someone else she went to high school with? There were 3 guys that she interacts in the movie.
There's like, isn't he an architect or something?
He was a businessy
a real
guy.
Estate agent, Greg.
I didn't like him, whatever. It's like, you know how you're like, bypass, get back to town. I was like, whatever, this guy's talking, move back to the people I like.
Yeah, but you have also this really nice contrast of she's this app lady with and wants everything to be kind of fast and easy, and then you have this, we're writing letters, we want things to be slow, no Wi-Fi kind of thing. And that's how they first meet, is she's at his coffee shop, and she's kind of like, you don't have Wi-Fi, like what? And so the whole idea of the Christmas Cupid is in direct conflict to her whole app and her way of life. So I guess they shouldn't ignore the app at the beginning.
Being like her whole everything that she is.
Yeah. I'm just saying, as far as when I say I don't care about the app, I don't care about like the technicalities of, is this app like marketable or realistic or whatever. I don't care about that. It's just a tool to get the story going, to get her to be in this spot. It does not matter.
Well, the only thing is, like, I think what it does is it briefly sets up, but maybe not brief enough for Rachel, but it does set up like this idea is like, she does need to slow down. And I think
it's just a tool to get her to where she needs to get. And so it's perfect in that way. And I wouldn't want it to be any more I don't know, realistic or spend any more time on it. Like, and then she also has has the boyfriend of business, Jason, in the beginning, that dumps her. And so you have that. And again, that's just another tool to get her to where she needs to be. I don't care about his character at all.
But I think he makes a good point. He's like, I'm tired of getting these like automated messages from you, which leads us back to like the writing letters, right? Like you're not connecting with people, and that's why it's not working.
Yeah. And so her and her dad, you're right, they agree to sign up. Her dad signs up because he wants her to sign up.
Yeah.
And and she just struggles with Christmas because everything reminds her of her mother, and so she's really having a hard time. And her dad has been friends with this woman named Susan, who is so nice, and but he's always been hesitant to make a move or change anything because he doesn't want to hurt Hannah, his daughter, and is just kind of nervous himself. But so they start, writing these letters, and she gets these letters, and it's so fun. I just love getting the letters. I forgot to write down his name. How did I forget?
It's Huck, and hers is Stardust. And I was like,
yes.
Can we talk about their names? Because I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's so cute. Well, she's looking for the spark.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And he's just like, the only thing I can think of is Huck.
So then you also have the doctor, who's played by Giles Panton, who we've also had on the show. He is the best. So funny. I love him. And he's a nice guy. I think it would have been easy to kind of play him as a jerk.
Yeah.
Because he's not the one that we want her to be with. And so a lesser script would kind of played him as jerk. But he's not a jerk. And she thinks that she's writing him when in reality he's writing to Martha, I think is her name.
I don't remember her name.
Super cute girl from the coffee shop. That's all we need.
Exactly.
Yeah, Martha.
Yeah.
And so they have this whole ice skating activity, and that's the idea behind this ice skating activity, is that that's the chance you get to rub shoulders with your pen pal and you don't even know it. It's so
could
cute.
Be your future friends or future partner for life. You don't know. Yeah.
That's right.
And
Sam is there.
Has a coffee. He has coffee stand, or I imagine it was probably more like hot chocolate.
Yeah,
that's what I would want.
Cocoa.
That's what I would want
if it is coffee, it would have to be like a peppermint latte or something like that.
But he's not gonna do that.
That's right.
He doesn't believe in them.
It'd have to be something Christmassy.
Yeah.
And so yes, and they both they're both at this point kind of interested. Her and her friend are interested in because there's also Julie is another character. There's Julie and oh wait, is Martha the old? Oh no, Martha's not who I was thinking of. It's Sarah, Julie and Sarah, like you said, girl at the coffee shop.
Yeah, here's the thing. Again, they're just there to go with other people so we can make our
I get the names all
storyline
confused.
happen. No, it's fine.
Yes. So her friend Sarah is at the skating party. She's writing to Daniel, and then but Hannah thinks that she's writing Daniel, and he's I think a good second man. Giles Penton. He's charming. He's funny. He's sweet. You believe that it could be this. You believe that she could certainly at least believe.
I don't think there was any problem with the three guys at all that could potentially be this person, and what it comes down again is that she's looking for a spark, and so I think all things equal, it's like they all seem fine, and I mean more than fine for her.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with anyone. I was just like, I know what the answer is, so let's just get there.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, so Sarah is writing Daniel, and that's Hannah's friend, and then Julie is the coffee shop girl.
Yeah,
she is writing Spencer. Spencer comes into the coffee shop, is super cute, played by Cardi Wong, who we love on this podcast. We've had him on as well.
Awesome.
And he is so sweet. He has a small part in this, but anyway, he's really cute. And so you do have some diversity in this movie, which is nice. I mean, it's small, the supporting roles, but it's still nice. And so anyway, that's kind of your couples that you have set up. You have Sarah and Daniel. You have Spencer and Julie. You have Hannah and Sam. And you have Ted and Susan.
And the thing is, we don't know who it's going to be until the end. Like I said, here's the thing. We all know these people are put in place to make the main couple happen.
Yes.
So I don't always remember names.
No, I know. But yeah, it's just you get all of these cute little couples. And I liked every single person in this movie. I liked them all. And so that makes it a richer experience than when it's just your main couple. I liked them all. I loved this whole conceit of letter writing. I think it is so cute. And so then you have Sam, like you said, he refuses to do pumpkin spice latte at his coffee shop. He's being a jerk about it, which made me laugh.
He doesn't want it to be hipster. He doesn't want people to have Wi-Fi because then they just sit on their computers and no one's interacting. So in a way, I think he would be very supportive of the Pen Pal program because he wants people to connect, So I can appreciate that, but
But she doesn't think he's at the skinny event though for Pen Pal. Yes. She thinks he's there for work because he's doing a booth or whatever.
But the reason why she believes that is because he tells her that. He doesn't admit to being part of it. He's like, "Oh, I'm just here doing this." And so she believes that because at first she thinks he's there because of it, and he's like, "No, I'm just working." So
and she's pretty critical of the first letter.
Yeah.
Because he misspells believe. And the whole I before E.
Except after C.
Yeah. And so then she starts to warm up to these letters and starts to get kind of invested in the process. And she's still thinking it's Daniel. And so... and I like it. He says, you could be dating the principal. Love knows no bounds. There's a whole scene. What did you think about the scene where her nephew, she goes out Christmas tree shopping with Sam. They get the tree. Her nephew puts the star on the tree and she gets very upset. What do you think about that whole scene?
Well, can I briefly talk about how they get to that part?
Yeah.
because that's part of the letter writing, is that she talks about not wanting to be or grieving her mother, so she's not part of the process. And so whoever's writing this letter to her challenges her to get a tree and to decorate it. And so she doesn't have a car, so she can't get the tree. So Sam offers to help her, and then he stays to help decorate it. And that's when the tree looks great. Like, I've never had a tree that looked that good, right? But then it's like putting the topper on the tree. That was something that her mother always did. And so her nephew wants to put it on there, and she has to leave the room, and she's upset. But what's interesting is that Sam follows her, and he talks to her about like how she's feeling about the situation, and like what her mom would probably want for them, and that the mom would probably want them to decorate the tree, and it's okay to take something that existed before and continue it, right? Like that. And she gets that idea from the letter that's written to her. It's okay if you have a tradition and then you like remix it or twist it up. And so like, I get it. Like, that was probably a very emotional moment for her character, because she's finally doing something that she hasn't done in years because of the death of her mom. And I think what you see in that scene, for the whole day, Sam has been a really good friend to her, helping her. Like, friends do favors for us all the time. Oh, I have my truck. We can put the tree in the back of the truck. We have friends who do that all the time, and they're called agentic friendships. They do favors and things like that. But then when he goes into the other room and he talks to her about it, that's a communal friendship. People are there for us. And so he's like an awesome friend to her all day. And everyone keep in mind, he doesn't know who he's writing, and he's not told her that he's part of it. And so she thinks the doctor is writing her. And so what you have is maybe a reconciliation of their relationship, at least in a friendship way. And so I think that becomes a very important scene in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's a couple things that I love when he says continuing old traditions with your that you did with your mom will keep her alive in your heart.
Yeah.
And then he says, adding new traditions doesn't erase the past. And I think that Sarah Drew is so good at crying. She is so good. When she's at that scene, I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, like I really, I connected to it, even though like I haven't had a similar situation, right? And so I think that's like the gift that she has, is that you feel for her, and like you want to comfort her, you want to be her friend, and you see Sam as a really great friend, and that's great advice, right?
Yeah.
Like, that just because you continue Christmas doesn't mean that you can't remember your mom. In fact, it might be a greater honor to continue doing the things you did with her, but also finding new traditions to do with your nephew and whoever your dad and your pen pal is going to be in the future, because it's going to be your perfect partner.
That's right. But then, they also say, and this is so true. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much time goes by, we can still miss someone with our whole heart, and that's okay. It just means we love them fully.
Yes, amen.
Which is such good writing and so true.
Yes.
I mean, I still, to this day, my grandfather passed away in 2001. Yeah. And I still, to this day, have a hard time talking about it without crying. Yeah. Because I miss him so much. Yeah. And I don't know, certainly you have to function as a human. Yeah. But that loneliness, and it must be even worse for a spouse or luckily I have my parents, and compared to even a grandparent or cousins that I've lost. But I think that's true. When you lose someone really special to you, it's like that hole in your heart is always there, but it's just how do you kind of honor them by continuing to keep living? But that's still there. Like,
absolutely. And like, I mean, I've lost grandparents and other relatives, but one of my best friends passed away when I was in high school, and this year was the 25th anniversary of her loss, and she was a great loss. Like, she brought so much sun into every single situation she was in. She was amazing. And so it's one of the things that I do to always honor her. Well, her picture's behind me, first off, is always right behind me where I can see, always when I walk in the room, I can see it. But I talk about her a lot in my classes, and I talk about her a lot in terms of friendship. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we just have to consider that it doesn't necessarily even mean it's someone who's probably passed. Like, a lost relationship or a lost connection, like Sam and Hannah, who like after college, like there was a breakup, I think, from Hannah's end. And so like even that, you can miss someone who you just no longer have a close relationship with. And I think sometimes there might have been something that happened in the past that it can be reconciled. Not everything should be, but I think that's sort of the charm of this movie, is that sometimes it is the people that you're missing are right in front of you. And so certainly we lose people, unfortunately, too soon. And we can miss them, like you said, fully, but we can also miss people who are just no longer part of our lives. And they might
that's a good point.
They might be down the street. They might be someone we see every day, or it might be someone we haven't thought about in 20 years, and that's a sort of like what I like about that, is that reconnection that can happen, and that can be part of the process of healing on whatever might have caused that, the relationship to drift apart or to end.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the power of the Christmas Cupid, because it gives people connection all over the place. Like her grandparents met via Christmas Cupid, and then you have Daniel that is really excited about his pen pal. You have Sarah, who's really excited. You have Spencer and Julie. And her father finally kind of connecting with somebody in a new way.
Her nephew does the pen pal.
Oh, that's right, her nephew.
About it.
It's so cute, and she says she thinks that Hutch is her soulmate. But he draws her a map to his heart.
Yeah,
and she says, "Well, it better not be the Zodiac killer."
Oh, that was my favorite scene. I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to Rachel about the most lifetime scene in this movie. Okay, first off, loved her sister, loved the friendship between them. She was great. I don't know who that actress is, but she had a small part, but even this scene alone was just like classic. So it was really sweet. Like the person writing her letter sends her on sort of a scavenger hunt. So it's not just like getting to know each other. It's doing these other things that you can do by writing letters. So he draws a map and they go, and she's like, I better not get murdered. He better not be the Zodiac killer. And then they get there, and then it's like, there's an arrow down into this like tree stump, and she's like, I'm not putting my hand in that. And so Hannah does it, and she pulls out this she's like, it's very cute. It was a really cute box with a bow on it.
Yeah.
Opens it up, and it's these beautiful earrings. And then it's a note about connecting to this Christmas book called The Christmas Story or the
Christmas Star?
Stardust, excuse me. And that was the book that her family read, and they haven't been able to find a copy. Like that was like something really meaningful along with the tree. And like, I loved that, because that's not necessarily something you can do at a great distance if you're apping and texting and things like that. And I just thought it was a really neat way to show appreciation for someone, to make connections, to like intensify the relationship. And the map was beautiful. How does she not know it?
And she says, I just love it. She says, I felt a spark. The best.
That's what she was looking for, because it's not simply a letter. Like he was being creative and innovative and thoughtful and all these things that you might want out of like a partner or someone or even a friend. A scavenger hunt that a friend sets up for a birthday or for Christmas or whatever, that's fun too. Like this is like, it's more thoughtful than other things we do. And it was one of my favorite parts. But when she dropped really the fun Zodiac killer during a Christmas movie, I was like, does Rachel know about this? Because I was like, this is a Lifetime movie and not Hallmark. When they dropped that, I was like,
It was so
It was
cute. And
great.
the way she's all talking about how technology can bring us together, and says, what would we do without viral cat videos? And so funny.
True story.
And at the bar, there's mistletoe, and they have a kiss under the mistletoe, which is very exciting. And
Well, I'm sorry. I also like that scene because she sees the doctor like hop in there, so she's gonna go say hi. Was it the doctor or the business guy? At
Greg,
this point, it
I
was.
forget. Yeah, I forget.
It's the losers of this scenario.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're not gonna win in the end. But like, so she like is being spontaneous, and she like stepped in there to be like, oh, I wanted to say hi, and he's like, let's have a drink. And then his pager goes off. It must have been the doctor. His pager goes off, and he has to go. And so she's just sitting there, and then there's sort of like a part in the bar, and then like the people sort of move, and you can see Sam at the end of the bar, which leads to the mistletoe. And I thought that was a particularly important scene because I think it was reflective of who she was at the beginning. Too busy, too technical, too disconnected. And I was like, so she kind of got a taste of her own medicine in some ways. And then it led to this other great connection with this person that she used to be with.
Yeah, well, and so she's kind of sparked enough by this thing with Sam that she makes him a pie. That looked like a pretty good pie.
I know. All I wanted when I was watching it, I was like, oh, great. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. And so she runs into the real estate guy, Greg, when she's bringing the pie. She gives the pie to Sarah. And then so they end up on a group date with Greg and her and Sam and Sarah on this date. And this is kind of funny because as they're talking, they mention Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. And then Jimmy Fallon bought a house from Sarah or something like that. And so he recently, it was really funny on his show. I don't know if you saw this, but on his show, he happened to be watching this movie. And he was like, what? They just talked about me. And he said on his show, he was like, to Lifetime, you can use me whenever you want.
That's so cute.
He ran a Christmas movie. He was like, this movie's great. So Jimmy Fallon has great taste. We know that now.
That's really cute.
Yeah, like, you should look it up. It's fun.
Be watching and then be like, hey, that's my name. And not expect it on a Christmas movie or a Lifetime movie.
Yeah. And I thought it was really cute too, because I don't know, like if somebody's the host of the Tonight Show, you kind of think that they wouldn't be all that sort of tickled, I guess, by being sort of referenced. But he seemed super excited, and he was like, look, they're just talking about me. Sarah True. So anyway, that was really fun.
But in that scene, I think the guy is annoying because I was like, oh, here we go. We got a name dropper.
Well, and so in 2019, they did kind of this fun thing on Lifetime where every movie mentioned hurricane or tropical storm Megan. Yeah. And or snowstorm or whatever. It was Megan. And so it was like this storm coming through and affecting the whole country, which made it was kind of fun.
Oh, that's
cute. It was like this little Easter egg, that almost all the movies did. Yeah. And so now I'm thinking, what this year for Lifetime, is Jimmy Fallon going to be the new Megan? That would be fun. Drop him in every movie.
Oh my God, especially because he'll be equally geeked out every single time. That's his style for sure.
Yeah, so that was fun. And and she says kind of that she can't be around Sam. Like there's too much of a spark, I think. I loved that whole
it's like history.
Yeah, it's so good. And she says to him, my mom was dying, I needed you. And he says, I'm not a mind reader. You said you wanted to be alone, and I respected that. And he says, you think it's easy for me to see you, that it's only hard for you? And so that whole conversation was so good. The actors nailed it.
Top notch.
Because that is exactly the kind of thing that you expect people to kind of, especially when you're going through something so hard. Like it's so hard to know what to do because everybody needs something different.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like some people need their space, some people need affection, some people need some people want to talk it out, but some people don't want to talk at all, and it's so hard to know kind of what to do.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot in my classes because when it comes to social support, like it's like we probably have an idea of what would make us feel better, even though we might not be able to communicate it. But then when someone provides the social support, it's like, well, not that. So it can make it hard. Or like when we don't know what to do, we would offer people what we think we would need in that situation, or what is sort of classically what people do, like a drop off a casserole, and that might not be what people need. And so I think that's why it's important to understand our friends and our partners really well, because then we can sort of assess what they might need, and sometimes they might not know. And so then like sometimes you might just have a friend who doesn't know what they need. Well, you've been to their house and they haven't washed their dishes in a week. Start washing the dishes. Like there's like lots of things that we can do, but I think by understanding the people we're in relationships with, that we can help that, and not be too upset though if a friend offers support or provide support and it's not exactly what we need, because they're doing their best, right? You need to be able to understand that. But yeah, like you can't be a mind reader. I don't know, like how much space do you need? Like, is it like, are you a 5-minute person, an hour, a week, and then you want someone to come back? Like, those are the sorts of things that you discover over time or through pretty precise conversations about these things.
Yeah. Well, and also for me at least, I sometimes need multiple times of, like I said, I mean, talking about my grandpa, like I still have a hard time even talking about, because it makes me, I miss him so much. And it's been over 20 years. And or 19 years. It's been 19 years. And it's still hard for me. And there's people that have sort of this idea of like, all right, that's fixed. We had a great conversation. You know what I mean? We did it. That was great. No, and some people that is the case, but not the case for me. Like I need to have that great conversation a lot.
Well, but the other thing is you can't assume that someone's going to be fine after one conversation after losing a parent. Like that is like ongoing grief.
Right.
And so do we just like stop being friends or partners with them until they quote unquote get it together? No, it's life. And unfortunately people pass away, whether we like it or not, or it's too soon or right on time or whatever the case might be. And that's the thing, is that grief is ever changing and ongoing. And so, I mean, for you, like you said, it's nearly 20 years. And my grief for my friend who I lost 25 years ago is probably different than yours. And so it's just one of those things, like we can't assume that there's ever sort of like a final moment, right?
Yeah,
because even there might be a day, like the anniversary of that day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no final point to grief. And I think that would really help us in our relationships if we consider that.
Yeah, about social support. It'll come back to you. But one of the things that really helped me is when I talked with Sarah Montana, the author. I had her on, not of this movie, but of other movies. I had her on, and she had to go through an incredibly tough thing when her mother and brother were murdered, and she ended up going through the forgiveness process, and very moving, great TED Talk, highly recommend it. But what I thought that was great about her is that what I think is great about her is that she talks about the idea of analyzing your wounds. And then looking at your wounds and saying, okay, what are my wounds? How am I feeling? And then going forward from there. And so what the forgiveness process became was a process. It wasn't an event. It wasn't like something that, okay, I did it, I finished, I moved on, I'm done. And I think that's such a helpful way to look at so many things of life. That, you know, she would talk about how, you know, she would get a new piece of information or a new piece of news, and then she would, okay, what are my wounds? How am I feeling? And I found that to be such a helpful guide and process to think about, as opposed to, I'm going to have to start from, because what would happen with me when I would go through something painful is I would be like, okay, I'm done. I've forgiven that person, or I've grieved, or whatever. And then I'm done, right? I've moved on. And then something new would happen, or somehow it would hit me. And I feel like I had to start from ground zero, start all over again, and go through that whole process all over again, which was brutal. And so if you could kind of look at it, okay, here's the process, going through it again. I thought that was so helpful to me to think about in analyzing in any kind of wound, whether it be a forgiveness wound, whether it be a grief wound, whatever's hard in our lives, and just to kind of take a second to kind of recalibrate and go through is an ongoing thing that we process in our lives.
Yeah. And, with forgiveness, some of the things to consider is that it is up to the person who has been the one that has experienced the tragedy or the trauma to decide when they're ready to start forgiving someone, if they've forgiven someone, or if they ever do. And so a lot of times you might hear other people, well, if you could just forgive me and move on. I think that is, if you are the person who might have caused that trauma or stress, then you have no say in it, right? It comes down to who we are and us processing, like reviewing our wounds and reflecting on it. Forgiveness is not automatic. Like that might be something that people might be able to manage a conversation in a civil way, but that doesn't mean they've forgiven. There's no timetable to it. And I think that can be very difficult if you've done something that may need to go through the wound reflection of another person and them determining whether or not they've forgiven. We have no say in that. And we have to consider that we can't rush any sort of timetable by telling them they need to do it, because the last thing any of us want to do is be told how to feel, especially when it comes to grief. Absolutely.
Well, and I just really liked that idea that it's just a continual process, that person isn't controlling your life. It's not this thing. It's just a part of almost like breathing. That this is just how I learn how to process, whether it be anxiety, whether it be just many other things that we feel in this life, that if we can learn to kind of develop almost a plan of how I'm going to deal with this experience, with this, whether it's the feelings of hurt or whatever the wound might be, whatever the experience might be, we have a plan. And it's part of a process. And I think that helped me a lot. And I really appreciated it. And I think that you get to a lot of you get to the core of that idea in this movie. And when she says, because her dad goes on the date, and she says to her dad, I was worried you never get over your heartbreak, but now I realize I was talking about myself. And I think that's she realizes that she's got this wound that she has not processed, not dealt with. And I don't know, I really think the writing is very good in this. And and she does say here, right around here, she says, I think that it's that the pen pal is Sam, and I can't shake it, but she thinks empirically, she's thinking, no, it's not. He's not participating. How can it be? But she's starting to allow her dad to move forward, starting to allow herself to move forward. And there's the whole story about the stutter. What do you think of that? That was pretty cute, I thought. The stutter went away, and I knew right then and there that everything would be okay.
Yeah. So that's when the dad was so into like her mom on their date that he couldn't even, it's like stuttering when he gets sort of like worked up about the sort of situation, but she put him at ease. And I think that's a sign that if you're someone who stutters, for example, like they use in this movie, that if someone puts you at ease where you're not stuttering, then that does feel like that's the spark.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It might be a little bit more. It might be like a really good sign that this is someone who helps you become a better person in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that like people start, but you know what I mean? Like it's still the best version of him, or she helped him get through something that was a struggle, and she made him feel the certain way. And that is not the case for everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
you can, if we go back to the app, which I know you love, you can like swipe right on all these people, and it's not going to be all these people that are going to be that person for you. In fact, you might not find them on there. How are you going to find a
Mm-hmm.
spark from swiping left and swiping right?
Right. It's hard because
Yeah.
everybody's like feels the same. That's the hard part about those apps is it's just like, and then anybody who's different, you're kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
and so
I mean, I'm sure we could probably be like, all right, here are the top 5 types of guys that are on these apps,
Yeah.
all right,
It's like
guy with fish, guy with group of friends, guy with
that's right.
selfie in a car, guy and
I tell you the one, yeah, guy at the gym is probably my least interested. I'm just like, ugh, I don't
guy
care
with
if you
dog,
work out.
swipe
Like,
right. I'm interested.
yeah, guy at the library. I'd probably like definitely. I'm going for that guy or Comic-Con.
Yeah,
I'll go with that guy. But I like it. She says that maybe it's not about letting go, but not holding tight so much.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's about this process, not a finished event. I finished grieving my mom. That's not a thing.
Yeah, when people say let it
people.
go, it's like you lose grasp on whatever it is, but it's a fiber of who we are as a person, and it makes us who we are. So we can never truly let go, even if we've forgiven someone or we've worked on our wounds and we've received social support, whatever it is, it's never going to be completely gone from who we are as a person and our life experience. And so
yeah,
to tell people to like snap out of it or let go or calm down, I can guarantee that probably doesn't work 99.9% of the time.
Yeah, and Sam is feeling like pretty jealous and frustrated with Hannah, and he's gonna throw out her pie. And
don't throw away good pie, sir.
That's right. Julie's like, no.
What are you doing? There's other people who could enjoy it. Sell it at the coffee shop at the very least. Good gravy.
And but then Hannah writes him a letter and tells him about the Christmas star. And then he figures out the Stardust is Hannah. And so all of a sudden it's all coming into play that it's not Daniel. And so we find out that Susan's coming to dinner. So like things are progressing between Michael Gross and Susan, which is so cute. I loved that so much. And and then they're going to change the app to the Perfect Pen Pal.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
she's learned some stuff from this process, and I think like it's like, I mean, what's interesting is that like Sam doesn't know that it's her though either until a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And so
right before.
And so I think like the scavenger hunt and the things that they're writing like really sort of touches base for both of them, because I think they're both still in love with each other. And that's part of the process of her grief, is that relationship ended without any sort of closure. And so I think it's sort of this open wound for however many years. And so they're writing to each other. I think it's exactly what they both need. And so it's like right before when she talks about the Christmas story, Christmas Star, dang it. The Christmas Story is a movie about the lamp. Get it together, Alysa. But I think that's what's interesting, is that it just works out for both of them because it was the right person in the right time, and they needed to know about it. But this is not our happy ending yet.
No. And but I love that they had that freedom of being able to write somebody that they thought was a stranger trying to help them with their problems, and they didn't have that sort of baggage of the past in those letters. I think that works so well.
It focuses on getting to know each other, and so it focuses on friendship first. And so even with the romance being like the heart of the story, the foundation is friendship, and giving people the option to do friend or love, I was on board with. But also, anyone who's doing this for love, it has to be built on this foundation of knowing each other first without any other things getting in
Yeah.
the way.
So yes, and so we get to the big reveal, and you have you have Sarah Drew in the red dress, which was so beautiful.
it was beautiful. And then with the earrings from the
Mm-hmm.
murder tree stump.
And she says, "Are you ready to go find your spark?" It was so cute. I love it so much. And then we get some matchups. Spencer and Julie, adorable, so fun. And then he overhears Greg and Greg and Susan talking about how Hannah is hooked on Daniel, not realizing that it's actually him all along. And so he gives the book to Daniel, and you're just like, oh.
He leaves, and I'm like, wait a minute, Huck or Sam, you're ruining it for someone else, because even if Hannah thinks it's someone else, it's you. So the doctor's been writing someone else. So like, you're about to ruin the whole pen pal game, buddy.
Right.
I was like,
that's right.
like, stop what you're doing.
Well, and plus, like, the fact that Daniel tries to pretend that it was his idea, because then that's not going to hold up very long, and it doesn't, gross. Of course. No. But that's what he does, and so then Michael, Gross, and Susan are matched, which is so cute. Are the pen pals?
Yep.
And so Sarah thinks her pen pal has stood her up, hasn't showed up. Yeah. Just like you were saying. And so they match up. They think that it's Hannah and Daniel, and there's just no spark at all. And she's just like, what? This is so disappointing.
Well, then he starts talking about what they wrote about, and she's like, I don't have a brother.
Yeah.
Because Huck ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, and he realizes, she reads the old letter from Sam from college, realizes he spelled believe wrong before E, and and so she goes and puts the letter underneath the door. Yep. This ending is so good. I love it.
I was impressed. I was like, this is good.
Yeah, she's like, you gave the book to Daniel? So,
but I love that, like, she continues like the vibe of the whole pen pal thing, and she writes him another letter, and as he's reading it to himself, she like comes in behind him, and then she starts talking, and it's like, wow, this is so exciting. That's not a ghost. That's your pen pal Cupid, buddy.
And she says, you are my future. And then they kiss, and she says, that's what I call a spark.
And it comes full circle.
So cute. Yeah. So I just love this movie. I love the whole concept of the letter writing. I love the heart that it has as far as dealing with grief and loss, and I love all the side characters. I think are really strong, and just all the little pairings up of the different letter writers. And I love Sarah Drew, and I love Donald Mader. I think they had incredible chemistry. And so I think this is a very good one.
Yeah, I loved the whole pen pal part of it, because obviously I know that we're going to watch something that is romance based. And so obviously this being on friendship, that I'm always coming at it from a friendship lens. And so, you know, of course they'd be like, ooh, it focuses on friendship. But in this case, like, the fact that it's a romantic movie that builds off these ideas of friendship. And I think that oftentimes when we grieve and we lose people and things and experiences in life, that we often turn to our friends, and how great is that if that same person can also be our partner. And so there are a lot of things that I love. I also just think, if I may take a second to say this, is that I think we need to be writing more people. I always think that getting cards from someone in the mail is a lot of fun, but I also think, like, this is also an opportunity to connect with people who might be feeling really isolated right now with COVID-19. And I know a lot of retirement homes have Facebook pages, and they'll have their residents like hold up a sign and it's like, "Hi, I'm Martha and I love TV." And I was like, "Watch out, Martha, I'm about to write you a letter." And then there's like, you know, Stanley who's like into the Yankees and all that. And then they have an address and you can just send it to people. And I think, how cool would that be that anyone and everyone who might need that connection can receive a letter? And I think a letter goes a long way to helping people feel less lonely and less alone. And so absolutely adored the concept. It's a lot of what I've been thinking about lately, and how we can write people letters. And then I have to say, I didn't like Niall very much in the last movie we saw, because he was like the businessy guy.
Right.
I like the guy who's like, "No Wi-Fi, no lattes." But I also think it might be the chemistry with them, and just sort of, he is a different vibe in this movie. And so I like the coffee shop owner vibe of Niall over the business guy. So
I can see
that made it more enjoyable for me too. And I think we've made it very clear how much we both love Sarah Drew. Hey, should we start this Sarah Drew fan club if it doesn't already exist? And you can be the president, I'll be the vice president, and it'll be great. And we can write letters to fans.
No. Oh, yes. Also, if you want to write letters to the troops, there's an easy way to do that. You can go on, I think it's the USO website will have links to that you can do that. You can send letters to the troops, and that means a lot to them. And so there's just a lot of good that comes, I think, from letter writing, or even just journal writing. Even if you're not going to send it, I think it's very good for the soul.
Absolutely.
And so I love, like I said, love the whole idea of Christmas Cupid. I love all the cast. I love Michael Gross, so great. I love Cardi Wong in just a small role. I love Giles Panton. I think he does a really good job. And I don't know, just love this movie. I think it's so good. So there you go. Let us know what you think about Christmas Pen Pals. Is it a favorite of yours? Do you like it as much as we do? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And like I said, we will be having Lisa for Christmas coverage. I mean, it's so crazy that we're starting Christmas coverage literally by when this airs, it'll be the next week will be our Lifetime preview, which is amazing.
I just put up all my spooky stuff, so you need to pump the brakes a little bit.
No, we're going to be doing Lifetime preview. We're going to be doing Hallmark preview. We're going to be doing every other thing preview. It's going to be, and then it starts, the very first Christmas movie on Hallmark Channel starts on October 23rd, and I think it's similar for Lifetime. So it's going to be wild and crazy, but we're really excited. So spread the word about the podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, and we will sure appreciate that. So thanks so much. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really that helps us out so much, especially as we're trying to get the word out for Christmas. And then if you are listening or watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot as well. And we also have our patron group, and we are going to continue to do watch-alongs through the Christmas season. We're really got some fun stuff that we're trying to work out and plan. And so we'll have other patron benefits. Our Facebook group is going to be really fun over the holidays. So make sure that you take a look at that. We'd really appreciate it. All the information's in the description. Then we also have our merch store, which has tons of holiday-inspired merch. Woo! So make sure to check that out. We've got artist Jessica Miller. We've got lots of other fun designs. And so that is also in the description. So make sure to take a look at that. And Alysa, where can people find you?
Absolutely. I'm Best Forever's Pod on all the socials. And if you're more into the Lifetime vibe, I'm Fatalities Pod on all the socials as well. And you can find me at AlysaLucas.com for all my podcasts, and as well as Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Got lots of reviews coming, so make sure to check that out as well.
You're gonna need some sleep, girl.
I know. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, but I'm excited. I'm here for it. So we need your support though. And so please do. And anyway, we're excited, and make sure you're following us at Hallmarkies Podcast on all the socials. And we're excited to interact with you and tell us what you think of our Christmas pen pals. And thanks so much. Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas in September.
Merry Christmas in September.